Hey everyone, my name is Wedge, and we're back with part 2 of the top 10 worst Magic cards ever printed in the world ever. If you missed the beautiful journey, it wasn't beautiful, that was part 1, click the link right here. It's your own misery, I can't make choices for you. Just for some context, number 6 was Scornful Egotist. Remember that? Yeah, it's gonna seem like a black lotus by the time we're done. Okay, maybe not a lotus, more like a birds of paradise. Good, but not game breaking. Anyways, let's get through this together. Number 5 is Shieldbearer. In the last video, we talked about banding. I don't want to talk about it again, so you should go watch part 1. I really hate banding. Shieldbearer is 2 mana for a 0/3 with banding. Yeah, no, that's it. Yep. 0/3, banding. You know what makes this card worse than a lot of other banding cards? It doesn't do anything else. Also, it has banding. Did I mention that? Really, just sit down and think about this card. You might not think that it looks like a terrible card, just one that you wouldn't play, right? Isn't that what makes a card bad, though? No one in the entire world would ever play this card. Soldier decks don't play it. White weenie decks don't play it. Listen, the card isn't even in Soldier, Commander, or Casual strategies. It's an awful card, and no one has ever loved it, ever. I'm actually kind of sad now. It looks like he's bearing that shield pretty well. Oh. Number 4 brings us up to Zephyr Spirit. This is where I start getting really upset. The Spirit is 6 mana for a 0/6 that you have to return to your hand whenever it blocks. Come on. You had one job. 6 mana for a 0/6 wall and it can't even block twice. Return it to your hand? What is happening here? I can't even use the excuse that it was an old card and haha, they've come so far. This was Ravnica's City of Guilds, one of the most loved sets of all time. This is a repeatable mana sink that never does anything you want it to do ever. I want to know who designed this card, individually. Who are you and why'd you do this? You know what? If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments, because this card is just, wow. Top 3, if you're still with us, props to you. This may be the card that does you in. Snowfall is 3 mana for an enchantment with a cumulative upkeep of 1 blue. Islands may produce an additional blue mana when tapped, but it can only be used for cumulative upkeep. Snow-covered islands may produce an additional 1 or 2 blue mana when tapped, but again, it can only be used for cumulative upkeeps. Thank goodness they printed this card. What would I do without Snowfall? And it's only a common? Totally broken. Think of all those cumulative upkeeps I have to pay. This totally helps with that, right? Yeah, no. Cumulative upkeep is terrible. Snowfall, terrible. Ice Age, minus Necropotence, just makes me want to punch someone in the face. They had to know that this would never be useful. They had to know. Even when people were playing with Ice Age cards, no one used cumulative upkeep religiously except for the people playing Illusions of Grandeur. And when they did play that card, it was alongside Donate because haha, die. Other than that, the mechanic's awful. It just is. I guess you could say that Snowfall is frigidly bad. Just nailing it. Top 2, prepare your butts. Great Wall is 3 mana for an enchantment. Creatures with Planeswalk may be blocked as if they did not have the ability. Boo! Break in the meta. What? Yeah, no Planeswalk? Take that, Graceful Antelope. Go trot somewhere else. Zodiac Rooster? Didn't stand a chance. I mean, come on. Who doesn't love half of a Lord Magnus on a stick, right? Great Wall is so amazing. Creatures lose Planeswalk? Just call the president. Oh man, things are about to get crazy. The designers must have been like, man, we're really going to stick it to those Righteous Avenger players. They'll never know what hit them. Seriously though, Great Wall is downright terrible. No one will ever use this card. No one. Ever. We finally made it to the worst Magic card ever printed ever. I'm not sure you're all ready for this, but I can't stop you from watching, so let's get this thing done. Our number 1 worst Magic card ever printed in the history of the world ever is Soras Path. It's a land, and you can tap it to basically switch 2 of your opponent's blocking creatures. Basically, as long as you don't create illegal blocks, you decide 2 of your opponent's creatures will block by switching them with each other. Is that what makes the card the worst card ever? No. Soras Path deals 2 damage to you and 2 damage to each creature you control whenever it becomes tapped. But wait, what? Holy crap, this card is terrible. Sure, you get to rearrange blockers, but you just dealt 2 damage to yourself and 2 damage to all of your creatures. Also, guess what? The 2 damage happens before you even get the effect off. You activate the ability and it goes on the stack. Then the trigger from tapping for the ability triggers and goes on the stack, so the trigger resolves first, which means that before you even get to rearrange blockers, some of your creatures might be dead. This is never going to be a good card. The setup to make this work is legitimately impossible to make efficient. Another awful thing, if your opponent has a way to tap your lands, this trigger will still activate because it activates whenever the path becomes tapped, not when you use the ability. Shocking yourself every time you want to use this stupid ability is the worst thing I've ever seen in the history of Magic. Shocking all of your creatures at the same time? Wow. Soras Path is egregiously terrible. You want to know the absolute worst thing, though? Soras Path was an uncommon 1. In other words, a rare. Maze of Ith was a common 1. In other words, an uncommon. Soras Path is harder to find in packs of the Dark than Maze of Ith. Yo, the Dark design team, you have to answer for this. I demand that you repent. Seriously, Maze of Ith easier to get than Soras Path? Are you joking? Is this the world we live in? I can't even right now. Just please, cut. I'm done. Life is futile. So we finished the list of the top 10 worst cards ever to be printed ever. We weren't even able to include some of the big hits like Wood Elemental, Racolite, Razor Boomerang, and Horizon Seed. But hey, we'll save those for the next time when I'm a little less nauseated. I hope you enjoyed this trek through the filth that is awful cards. If you enjoy these kinds of videos, let me know in the comments and give us a like to show your support. As always, subscribe below for the latest and most reliable Magic the Gathering information you could ever need. This is the Manosaurus, I'm Wedge. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.
Wow.